cold spots. It's the old adage that goes creates cold spots. Live evidence from the sky? Absolutely.
Out of curiosity.
Yes.
Because as someone who doesn't play with thermal cameras, if you're looking, because I know concrete itself is pretty damn cold. I guess it would be even colder then, right? Like it would be an even darker shade of...
It depends. So we had kind of a chilly day and it was windy. So I'm expecting that to be about the same as the ambient temperature because the sun was beating on it, so it kind of bounced the temperatures around. Right now it's sitting at about 63 degrees, which is what I'm guessing we're right around. Anybody have a phone on them to check the temp? So it says we are at 57. So we're at 57 degrees. That concrete behind you is about 64. So let me kind of show you guys how this works so you guys know, because you're going to get the full video back. We're recording already. So you guys can all see me in there, right? I'm orange, red, and yellow because my skin temperature is obviously way warmer than the ambient temperature around us. So what we're looking for is those blue and black spots to start moving on their own intelligently. There should be blue and black in the screen right now, right? But it's not moving around because it's concrete stuff that we can physically touch. We want those kind of cold spots to kind of show themselves even further. We're going to try to keep a person in view at all times because we need that base temperature from somebody's skin. Okay, so that's really a key element. So if I were to take me out of this, for example, watch what happens. That orange, red, and yellow goes somewhere else. So we want to try to keep somebody, I would say within like 5 to 8 feet or so, in close proximity. Like we're going to be pretty close knit tonight anyway, so it won't be that hard to do. You're going to hold this horizontal all night long, just because it makes a much better YouTube video, so I can transpose it back over to my website. And the red square that you see on there means it's recording. If that turns to a circle, let me know. That means I just have to splice your video together so you guys don't have a million YouTube videos that you have to watch.
Gotcha. So again,
it is a regular phone, so there are regular buttons on there, and all that mess. And obviously you got the gist of where the camera was. Good. Most people cover it up right away. So it is a really cool tool. Does it always capture something? No, I probably get something on there about once a month that's questionable. Some things are more questionable than others. Other things are like, wow, we caught something really cool. And I'll show you different pieces of evidence as we move along throughout the night. You have a word already. What's the word on there?
Minimum?
Interesting.
Minimum.
Very, very broad and vague. I will always, I'm never going to lie to you guys. If something's pretty, like, too vague and it's not specific enough for me, I'm going to tell you flat out it's not specific enough for me. So, you're going to get my new device.
Okay.
You're multifunctional.
Okay.
This thing does 3 different aspects of things that are going to relate to what we're working with here.
Okay.
So, first thing is, it measures EMF, which is electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
So EMF is kind of like our first indication of what's actually happening around us. I told you I don't get excited with one thing going off, or even if we have one word, I still need an EMF. So the big number at the top is your EMF. Anything above 0.4, I get excited about.
Okay.
I still want to kind of see where it goes. If it goes into whole numbers and even the hundreds of whole numbers, then I get even more excited. Okay. So that's kind of, you have to watch that. The bottom number that you see there is ambient temperature being measured by this little yellow probe that you see here at the top. Okay. So in the event Justin sees something, wow, I got the name right, didn't I? Look at me. So, I know, I'm remembering stuff. So, in the event that he sees something, we can try to debunk it right away. I have another thermometer in my bag that does surface temperature only. It's kind of like the little red dot thing. So, we can measure both and try to figure out what's legit and what's not.
Okay.
Farmer.
Minimum. Farmer? Girlfriend, there better not be no farmer near us.
You're sitting on top of old farm.
I know, right? The last thing this does is it's a REM pod. So what is a REM pod? You're going to pull the antenna up from time to time when I say, let's get that REM pod going. Okay. And there's a little white button on the back, and I'll show you more about it at our first location. So what this guy does is going to make these green lights go into different colors based on anything that's coming close to that antenna. It's creating an EMF field around here. So if something breaks the EMF field, it's going to make a noise. The closer something gets to that EMF field in the antenna...
Yo, I feel like a cop.
So, what you're going to do is it gets very annoying on the audio, so at times I'll say, let's get that REM pod going. We'll pull the antenna up when we're not using it, obviously push it back in. And it's not a cheap device, I'll say that, but it is insured. I just don't want it broken. Okay. But there's a little clip on the back. Kind of keep it open, you don't have to click it back in, so that way you can reach that white button, and I'll show you that at our first location more. So, that one's going to go to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any questions so far? We're going to learn a lot more about your devices at the first location. See, told you. It's a lot different when you have something where you feel like you're in control of the situation. So if you're in a haunted location, there are things like this app that you guys can download for yourselves. Granted, that's a paid version, much more expanded, but at least you have something where you feel like you can communicate and have a bit more control. It's not such a scary situation anymore. So let's talk about the place of where we are.
Okay.
Why do we start at this old abandoned bar that's being renovated? Because it's haunted, of course. And it brings up a great story that I like to start all my tours off with. So that's why we start here. This place used to be called Big John's. Mary, how long have you lived here?
4 years.
4 years. Okay, so this would have been before 4 years ago. Because I think it was Big John's back in 2016, so that would have been 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Big John, in the 1970s, he used to sit in the back of the bar. First off, he was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a football guy, so I had to memorize this crap, so I had a great story to tell. So,
It's
but
okay,
anyway,
me neither.
and it's really cool when we get Big John's teammates coming through. So that word farmer that you had come up, I'm looking at that as a last name. So that way I can prove it.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, anyway, he used to sit in the back of the bar, right inside that window. There's a bar on the opposite wall. And he used to tell the bartender if the cadets coming over were of age or not, if they could have a drink, because he knew everybody. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not of age. Big John tells the bartender, get them the hell out of here. So they leave. Pretty pissed off, obviously. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. Big bar fight between John and these 2 guys. A couple of shots were fired and John gets hit in the neck. The bullet ricochets and lands in the wall. He gets back up, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender, get me another beer, go get them 2 guys an ambulance. John's the one that got shot. And nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place? Guesses? Anybody? The bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. They're renovating the place, so I'll have to double check that when they reopen. The bullet hole, because it has John's blood on it, and this was his bar, is what's haunting the place. I often get things about Big John's teammates, Big John himself. I'll get years, I'll get which round pick he was in. Like literally, it'll tell me those things. So, people that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little dizzy, headache, queasy, nauseous, those kind of things. I bring the story up on purpose because I don't know how real paranormal activity is going to affect any of you guys. Any of you are feeling any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately.
Well,
it's a big deal.
full disclosure, I have those symptoms regardless whether we're outside or inside.
Okay.
So,
If anything gets worse than what you...
Yeah, I was about
no,
to
you
say.
never know.
anything worse than your average then. So, I will also tell you, I am the guy with epilepsy, which means I have a weaker mind than the rest of you, based on what they see. If anything's going home with anybody, it's going to be with me. So, no worries there. But again, I'm protected with all my stones and all the stuff that's been blessed by psychics all around my bed.
Okay, I was about to say, how are we supposed to help you then?
You can't.
This way.
So, let's get our minds off of our own health for a moment.
Yeah.
We had a big earthquake here in 1886. We didn't know that. We do now. It was a big one for us because we don't have earthquakes. This is Charlestown. We're on the East Coast, in case you forgot where you were. But apparently this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. So the mantle above your heads, a piece of it broke off in the front of the building, struck a man in the head, and killed him. I say allegedly on this entire story because it's just hearsay. I don't have any proof. It's just a great story to get your minds off your own health, and you might get sick from my tour. So, you guys ready to do a ghost hunting?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. She's like, yes, just shut up already. Come on, let's go this way.
I noticed the thermal camera has a 1.5 second lag.
Yeah, so what you have to remember about that camera is that it's not our cell phone technology that we have that's so great about it. It's the fact that it can see the different temperatures. So the quality is not going to be as good as our cell phone cameras would be. And it will, calibrate every 1 to 3 minutes. So you're
Gotcha.
going to see things like that from time to time.
That explains it.
Explain to me what these words mean again.
Alright, so we're going to go through all of this.
Okay.
Because this is your novice level. So first thing I'm going to do, Jody, is I'm going to pull out a regular K2 EMF meter to kind of gauge what's actually happening with your K2, your EMF, which nothing's going on. But this one
That looks like the one I know of.
This is the one you see on TV because it's so sensitive. So again,
And in the games.
yeah, the games have them too. But I will keep that handy so we can all kind of keep an eye on it. It will not look like this all night long. It should technically be on green because there's 3 EMF fields. One from the earth, it's natural, it shouldn't be doing anything. Just what basically you have going on there. The second one is from electronic devices, which is what we're all carrying, our cell phones included. But the third thing would be anything paranormal that I can't explain, and that's what I'm after. So when you start getting weird spikes and holy shit, it jumped up to 20 and then back down to 0 again, that's a spike. So, where are we? First off, this is the Big Red Barn lot, okay? It is haunted, and I get all kinds of things from Big John's teammates here. This is where we keep your horses for the carriage rides. The horses are still inside. So, Mary, you with the only noisy thing that we have out here, this is where the horses are, where you're going to kind of keep it audible to just us, and we don't want to spook those horses, because they can hear us.
Like right there?
So, you see the open windows with no glass in them?
Oh, yeah.
That's where the stables are.
Okay.
The only history I have of this building, guys, is that this is where we held horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So, that dates it for you. We're talking 1860s to 1920s. But whenever I give you a history of a building, I'll always emphasize keywords, especially for those spirit boxes that you have. Because we're all going to be kind of focused on working together tonight. I'm not going to be spreading anybody out. Spirit boxes, this is not TV. This is not, is somebody here? Because first off, if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. But you could hear a real estate commercial that comes through and it says the word houses, and you think you heard the word yes. It's the example I give everybody because the words or the sounds of S and O are too common for us to be able to get a definitive answer out of anything. We want details. So we're going to ask something very simple of, we can all agree that the barn is red, correct?
Yeah.
If somebody's here with us, tell me what color that barn is. Now, you're going to be listening for the color red, but it can also give you something that is specifically red, like a fire truck, fire itself, heart, blood, anything that is known to be red. Because again, the word red might not be coming through as a disembodied voice or from a DJ that he can grab to be able to give it back to us. We can also ask names, things like that, jersey numbers, we'll get into that. But in the event we don't get an answer out of the red question after a couple of tries, I do want us to say what's inside the barn. At that point, horses, they were delivery horses, they're draft horses. This is about putting all those clues together. So again, we're going to look at all of the devices as they're moving along. As far as the words that are coming up, again, that thing's it's designed to be a game and a hoax. If that thing were sitting in my living room, which is not haunted, it would still give me a word randomly from time to time, and none of them would mean a damn thing unless I was conjuring something through another kind of board, like a spirit board or a divination board of some sort. Then I might actually go into a little bit of that detail. But the stories here, I know, so I can kind of put those clues together. It's those other words in between that I'm really after. It's kind of, that's where we have to kind of hunt and peck and see what's relatable. So if you hear a jersey number, for example, we'll just say you heard 44 on the red spirit box. But then we also got the word Art on this one. Well, Art Faircloth was number 44, and he played with Big John in 1947. You see how I have to put those clues together? Mm-hmm. That's what we're really going after. So really, we're going to kind of follow your lead because your EMF should be telling us where to go. I have this one present, but again, with nothing going on with yours, I can't verify what's actually happening yet. Thermal imaging, we're going to talk about that. Let's walk this until you get a spike. Thermal imaging, we already talked about how you have to keep a person in view. The next location, I'll show you some evidence so you have a bit more of what
So it would probably be easier than to trail behind, because then you'd always have a person in view.
You always have a person behind, right. But in here, you have wood, you have asphalt. Mm-hmm. You could turn your spirit box up.
I can tell the asphalt's letting off the heat.
Yeah, you can turn it up just a hair, so you can actually hear it.
Is there?
Perfect. But
you can see the asphalt.
Yeah, but you could see all the different materials are going to basically fluctuate within the screen.
Right.
You know, you also have wood in here, the foliage, vehicles, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, people get a little funny with cameras in their cars. So when somebody's going to their car, because I'll be honest with you guys, parking lots are like my favorite places because it gives me a chance to explore. Not to mention, I'm taking you to places that once were. If you were looking for a sightseeing tour, you're on the wrong group. Which I don't think any of you were actually expecting that anyway. No. Ghost hunting can be a little dirty and can be a little odd places. Like this one here, for example, I'm looking for stuff from Big John, but I also want to talk to a stable boy. I never know what I'm going to get. I kind of have that in-between stage. Not to mention EMFs left to go off in here. So, let's turn it up so we can hear it.
Say twice.
I heard the word twice. If I got somebody here that played with Big John, tell me what color that barn is. color is that barn? Just tell us through that box with the red numbers on it. We never want to use the specific name of the devices. We never want to say touch the millimeter. It's a black box with a metal stick. I mean, it'd be as basic as possible. Some of these folks we're going to be talking to tonight are going to be from colonial times. They don't know what the hell a millimeter is. They don't know what a REM pod is. But oh yeah.
Great coach in the NFL.
Something of the NFL. If you played with Big John, give us your jersey number. You got any kind of numbers going on?
No.
Nothing? I'm seeing it slow down a little bit too. We want to know what your jersey number is. Heavy? Let's move until we get a spike. You got any words coming up?
Curry.
So when you want to, if I say what words have we had since we last chatted, just hit the little calendar next to it. It'll show you everything that we missed. Oh, look at that. We got tourist, inspection. Oh, got a lot of stuff going on. I don't see anything relevant, but a lot of stuff came through. I am going to definitely look into farmer. And then you just hit the circle back. 50.
Oh, snap.
Find out. Hang on. I don't have them memorized. I gotta look them up. But that's a jersey number for sure.
Well, what was kind of interesting is after about 2 seconds after you said 50, the thermometer jumped to 50 and then jumped back up to 60 something.
Well, that's why we record everything.
That's pretty cool.
I don't want to stop the video to check it now. Come on, show the roster.
Person.
I got a 51. I got a 51 and a 55. No 50. But that's just the first year. So tomorrow morning, I'll dig through the rest of the years that you played with them.
Okay.
All right, everybody got a gist of how your devices work?
I got it.
Just gonna move it all over.
Yeah.
Up and down. Now it's gone. That's why they call it ghost hunting. You gotta go find the shit. All right, let's go learn some real history instead of asking what color pens are. That's what you guys thought you were getting yourself signed up
Well,
for?
it's so much more entertaining than it's like in the games, like you said, like the TV shows. It's like in the spirit box. It's like, where are you? And the only thing you get is here.
Yeah.
And it's like, good talk.
Yeah, exactly. You see how specific I'm going.
Yeah.
The fact that we got an actual jersey number or something that could be a jersey number. He's just telling me the year to look at because he did play with them through 1952. So it might be 1950 that I need to look at. So, alright, let's cut that spirit box. So I don't have to, because this is an actual story. First off, this is the only way in and out of here, so kind of be mindful of that. Again, we're going to stick together anyway. I'm jealous. I should have brought my damn jacket. I'm a little chilly. You guys all got coats on.
Brought the cold with us.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck. So, another parking lot. But this is, again, one of those places that once was. This used to be the home to the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion.
Oh.
So it obviously faced East Bay Street. The middle, basically where that tree is on the left and all the way across, was Eliza's garden. And we are standing where the servant and slave quarters were. So, who the hell were they? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. If you were paying attention, that's 3 Charleses the son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution.
Oh yeah, we went
saw
to their
that
house
Charles
this
Pickney
morning.
house today.
Okay, you guys were over on Sneak Farm.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. You guys can get the tie-in. So, I don't care about politics, and I'm sure you guys don't either. Nobody wants to talk about politics when you're supposed to be having fun, so we're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza was way cooler anyway. So Eliza, this is a place where I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, okay? So this is where you're going to get the answers from the spirit box, and hopefully we can use the other tools to kind of, like what you just said, the temperature dropped, you know, like, what was that, 12 degrees you said?
Something in that ballpark.
You know, you're going to get spikes throughout here. Once I start talking about Eliza, I can guarantee you that this thing's going to start to go nuts on it usually does. So once I start getting into her story. So first off, she married Charles at a young age. You can ask what age. When we start getting into the questioning, I'm not going to give you the answer. You're going to find that out for yourself. But she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. And she didn't want to go home. He wanted all his kids home to see him one last time. And she said, hey, Dad, I don't think you're dying. I'm going to stay here in the well, it wasn't the United States yet. So it was like 1740. She said, I'm just going to stay put. It didn't give her any citizenship. You guys notice on the EMF? So again, I'm not triggering anything. Most people try to accuse me of that. I try to keep my hands in view at all times. And there's nothing in my bag that's actually on, except for this guy. And I shouldn't be making it go off. That's where the audio recorder is. So at any rate, it didn't give her citizenship, so it just basically said, I'm just going to stay put. So Dad got better. She was right. And he starts sending gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Her to, yep, you guys should have learned about that today. So she obviously did a lot of things with that and experimented with it. Did they tell you that she had to learn how to keep it cultivated in our very weird temperatures from her slaves?
No.
Yep, didn't think so. They don't really talk about that. So her slaves came straight from the Gullah culture, which was straight from Africa. And they knew how to keep everything cultivated. Not that Africa gets cold temperatures, but they know how to keep it going. So she had to, after a couple of tries, she finally got it into a cash crop. You guys already know that the rice plantations were going downhill. She moved in, called Dad, gave me some contacts, and she was able to sell this stuff overseas because there was a war going on between the French and the British. So again, she kind of moved in on that. Boom, we have a colonial businesswoman, which was unheard of at this point. So you guys might actually know some of the answers to the weird questions I give you. Which would be kind of weird. Not many people come here saying, yeah, we just learned about that today. So, but Eliza obviously has done a lot of things for the colonies, and I'm going to kind of give you some weird questions about her that you may not have known, and hopefully you get the answers. Obviously, you can ask how old she was when she got married. I found out today, by listening to another podcast about Eliza, how old she was when she became a widow. So that might be another good question for you, too. You can ask anything you want to about her death, how old she was, what did she die from, where did she die, where is she buried, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral? Did they talk about that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was really just real, like, brief bios on, like, the DNR.
They didn't have they didn't have the house open, so we went and we just walked around and saw where the slave houses were, and...
Yeah, and, like, the big little, like, 4-paragraph snippet on, like, the house.
It's sad, because there's so much history with the things. And again, I'm just touching on a little bit that one of them did. I mean, there were governors and British ambassadors and all kinds of things within his family. Like, they were a very prominent family. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. If you're going to ask about her children, we already know that one's name is Charles, but kind of stay away from poking too deep. There's a tragedy among one of those kids. If we bring it up and she doesn't want to talk about it, all activity will stop for the rest of the night. It's almost a guarantee. It's the weirdest thing. And I've seen it dozens of times because everyone's like, oh, did somebody die? And all of a sudden, boom, I got nothing the rest of the night. And I can't even make it up. I just tell them flat out, somebody asked a question they shouldn't have, and this is what we got. So
I assume the mansion disappeared the way that all the mansions in what was New York City disappeared. Progress.
Not necessarily. Nope. All right, so we're going to explore the slot, but we're going to go based off of your EMF. Let's go ahead and start the REM pod. What I didn't show you is pull the antenna out. You're on the right track. Now flip the thing all the way to the back, and there's 2 buttons. So the left button controls the left device. We care about the right one, which controls the right device. Push it all the way in. You gotta click it. Perfect. So the easiest thing to work with that thing is to kind of move slow. Sudden movements will make that thing go off anyway. You want to test it from time. Sorry, I flashed you. But you want to test it from time to time. Make sure it's actually on and working. When we're asking questions, I'll say, "Hey, Eliza, if you're here, get close to the little box with the metal stick," and I'll demonstrate. You always want to demonstrate.
Does that mean anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Nice try. So let's walk around. Let's find some stuff. Again, be mindful of vehicles for me. Oh, let me show you some, because this is the place where I actually have probably one of the best pieces of evidence from that thermal imaging camera before we start exploring. And we're going to spend a good 10 minutes here based on how much activity we're going to get. So if we're going to get more, we'll spend 15, but we won't spend all night here, just so you know. Let's see the evidence that I have. So I keep an evidence folder, because when I have my full teams out, obviously there's a digital camera involved and grids and like lasers and all kinds of stuff goes on. So whenever I get evidence from that stuff, there's an evidence folder. Just have to find it. So this video that I'm about to show you is that corner, pretty much adjacent to right where we are. And what you're going to see here, turn the sound down. So the orange is the wall. Do you see the two living people walking past the wall? Okay, that's kind of our barometer. We're going to fast forward a few seconds, if it'll work with me. And we're going to see two dead people going past the wall the opposite way, right about there.
Oh, snap. Oh.
So I've sent this over to firemen and mechanics. We've literally gone through it frame by frame. These guys work with this thing every day. It's literally, when you slow it down, it's two heads next to each other, and they're walking past the wall, past the lamppost that's over there in the corner. And if it were a vehicle, it's too far away, first off. And if you look, there's always a person in view on the right-hand side. I'll get to that point again. Yeah, come on. So there'll be a person on the right-hand side for you that kind of keeps, where I told you got to keep that skin temperature in there. They should have been the same color. You already seen the orange heads. So this guy comes into view. There's our two ghosts that walk by.
Damn.
So, pretty crazy stuff. I have other pieces that I just haven't clipped out yet because I've been so busy with school. It's finals week for me. But I literally have somebody's shoulder. Like, it should be, you know, I should see the shape of her jacket, right? But there's a blue blob covering right here, and all of a sudden it just kind of molds and then drifts away. Like craziness. So, the last location we will be at tonight, that red spirit box in the thermal imaging camera, it was a small group like this. The camera person was videotaping me and the person with the red spirit box. A white mist came over them. The red spirit box stopped working. We walked away because I was thinking it was dead for the night, which I was like, all right, we just want to have this piece of evidence. We walked away probably 15, 20 feet, boom, fired right back up again, and was already on record. It takes 3 buttons to get that thing to record. Crazy stuff happens at that location. So let's dig around in here. Let's see what we capture. Do you have any EMF? Just 0.2? Go find me a hotspot. Start asking questions. I'll let you guys do the question asking this time. Mary, that's on you.
Oh God.
Out of curiosity, what are you going for your master's?
This is my master's in creative writing. I have a bachelor's in English and a bachelor's in German.
Oh, cool.
I've been debating about going in for my PhD. I don't think I can do another 4 years.
I don't blame you.
Like, I just don't think I can do it.
I got out of school last year during the peak COVID crisis, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back unless they pay me.
Yeah, I mean, I got 6 figures in student debt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I hear you.
I just can't do it. My wife just graduated with her first bachelor's degree. She's going back into her master's degree.
Same kind of thing or different?
No, she's in graphic design.
Oh, gotcha.
So she designed my logo for me from scratch. She does all my book covers.
Gotcha.
My headshots, like anything I need that I can't make out from the picture, she gets all of that. And she's part of this too.
Yeah, that's cool. I went for computer science.
How's that working out for you?
It's working out great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do code software for hospitals.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
My
and
ex-mother-in-law
play with this kind of technology sometimes.
Yeah. That's what he did. He worked for a company called Biomed.
Yep. Heard of them.
He was a programmer, I think. You get spikes over here? Nothing on the... What I didn't tell you about that REM pod, let's say it starts going wonky and it's going crazy where you can't get it to stop making noises. Right where your thumb is, there's a series of buttons. You feel them? The one at the very bottom will reset the EMF feed. So if it starts going nuts where you can't get it to stop, a lot of times if you just ask Eliza to step away from it and it's going all and sorry, I'm gonna keep flashing you. She's like, this guy's a jerk.
No, I'm like, oh shit, I found something.
If it starts going crazy and you say, hey Eliza, can you step away and make it go back to green, and she doesn't do it, that's when you reset it.
Okay.
That's kind of how I use it anyways.
Okay.
You get
Huh.
answers?
No. I have a color.
What did you do this time?
Oh, what is
That's
indigo?
cool. Yeah,
There's some.
Indigo makes blue dye.
There's some
Yeah.
blob.
we talked about that earlier.
There's some blob right about there that goes. This blob here, it goes from this to then the surrounding blue, and then it's gone for a while, and then it comes back to this dark blob again.
Moving.
Are they? Those are people.
Those are people.
But this blob here.
Could just be that wall back there. 'Cause
It
it's a
could
small
be.
series of bricks that are not the same as the others.
Maybe. Let's see like that, like it disappears.
What's going to with the fluctuation of their temperature moving out?
I guess so.
But good catch. That's what we're looking for. Like, I just I saw something move on there.
Huh.
It might have just been her head in between it.
Maybe.
And if you guys want to switch devices up, you can. Like, I'm perfectly fine. You're all one group.
A lot of
Pretty good red spikes over here on mine.
for that device.
So what's the weather doing up in PA right now?
It's whopping 42 degrees right now.
Because I'm going up there in 2 weeks.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'll be in the Pittsburgh area.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's a pretty historically haunted area, isn't it?
Yeah, my mother-in-law keeps buying me books on it. I just haven't read them yet because I got to keep
You ever
everything
been?
fresh here.
Have you ever been to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice area.
I'm originally from Youngstown.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
So I used to go to Rivers Casino like on a daily basis. Drop
Oh,
the kids off
gotcha.
at school, and me and the ex-wife were down at the casino.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was down in Pittsburgh quite a bit, long before I started doing this. And that's not the easiest job you have, Mary. So if you don't hear anything, it's fine. I'm going to kind of take that you have the word blue. I'm excited about that.
It switched to the word substantially.
Okay.
Substantially blue.
Exactly.
Very blue.
So did they tell you that they used indigo to dye both the Confederate and the Union uniforms?
I believe it.
So your Union uniforms were blue, right? Very dark navy blue. And the Confederate uniforms were gray. That's just less indigo.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Stupid fun facts from Nick. Just create a podcast just for that. 3-second episodes. Then play a
Share our
30-second
thoughts.
commercial. Right?
What does it mean? Like, what does it mean? What are the different colors? So,
Again.
like, it's green and low. Does it mean anything if it goes
It's
up
all
really high?
aesthetics. Like, all the numbers at the top are trying to show you that it's coming from FM radio stations. And
Oh.
there are times where I hear a word out of this guy the next morning, and it syncs up with the time frame. Oh, look at that, it's his voice. With the same word. Like, it's weird. So from time to time, I kind of have to feel like there is some legitimacy there, if it's making words out or not. But we can't even hear it, even if I were to turn that volume up. It's some crazy spooky sounds to make it sound, you know what I mean? Like, it's meant for a game and a host. So I try to stay away from that, and like, let's just find the 20% that actually means something. Blue is very substantial. The firm voice, I will tell you, probably 2 months ago now, I got a disembodied voice here on your Red Spirit box. What does that mean? It means it wasn't radio chatter. It was a legitimate EVP. I would say probably a Class B, so not quite Class A. It wasn't loud enough.
I'm wondering out of curiosity, not to kind of ruin the vibe, but I noticed when I was looking in that corner earlier, when cars go by, they kind of clip the top of this, and it looks like those two blue dots that were moving when there's two cars trailing each other.
And we went into that.
Really?
I went into that with the firemen and the mechanics.
Oh,
Like,
I
brought
must have
'em-
missed that part.
No, I mean,
Must
we
have gone in and
literally
out.
came, they were part of the tour. So we kind of tested it based on the angles that we were at. And then when I sent him the video, the clip that I just showed you, we're emailing back and forth clip by clip, like second by second, to kind of determine what was actually happening.
Okay.
But that was our first thought too, was it's got to be a vehicle, especially with so much heat as somebody's body temperature was. I mean, it was, I want to say that was back in August of last year, so it was still pretty warm out here. So that vehicle, if it was air conditioned, would have shown up blue, but we had almost black, which would have been a 25 to 30 degree difference, if not more.
Gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure a car is not going to go all the way down to 65 degrees.
Probably not.
But that EVP that I heard said just leave us alone. Like that firm...
Oh my god.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
you.
this guy again.
Hi, are you here?
That's a yes or no question. Try something else.
I don't know what to ask.
Try to keep that still.
Are you here with us?
Touch that metal stick again. You seen how the lights went off. If you touch that little metal stick, it'll make the lights go and we'll know that you're here.
Tell us what you do for a living.
There you go.
Tell us how old you were when you were widowed.
Mary, you've got a lot of blue all over you.
I'm dead inside.
Oh, that's right.
It's our coat. It's so thick.
Mm.
Pretty thick coat on.
I can't with you, girl. I'm gonna move around here.
That was pretty cool.
What's your
We'll take
middle
that.
name?
Maiden. Try maiden name.
What's your maiden name? Are you here with us? Show us this. Ooh.
Eliza, how many people did we bring? How many people did I bring with me tonight? Give us a number. So what I usually explain to people is when I have all three spirit boxes out, plus our two pieces of audio, the answers can go anywhere. They can go to my audio, your audio, or they can go to the three spirit boxes.
All right.
A lot of times what I'll do is if I know there's a skeptic involved because somebody revealed them, I'll say, hey, Justin, come over here. And I'll say, I'll have the blue spirit box running because I'll pull it out on my phone. And I'm like, all right, Charles, if you're here, put your name on this screen. And Charles's name will pop up like right away. I don't know how many times it's happened. It's like Charles wants to scare you guys or show the skeptics like, hey, this shit's real.
Or get out of my damn parking lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes you wonder too, like some of this stuff, like what it's built over. I don't know if you ever heard. We were talking about it today. Like 7 years ago, in San Francisco, they were doing renovations on a courthouse, and they broke the capstone by accident.
Okay.
And they found a coffin in the capstone, and it was a perfectly preserved, like little girl.
Wow.
It was like a glass top coffin, so you could see her face, and it was wild.
That's pretty nuts.
And you can Google it, it's nuts.
Yeah, that
And
would be
they,
pretty cool.
You never know what's under the damn ground. It could be the foundations to that house under all this.
Well, here's what I'll tell you is they've never done an archaeological dig
I believe
on
it.
this. So one of the things the wife and I want to do is we want to do a Stories in a Cemetery shop where we obviously sell ghost hunting equipment, books, but the upstairs we want to make a haunted hotel. Everybody gets a gear pack. I teach them how to use it. They spend the night, whatever. So it'd be just a one-night hotel stay.
Right.
But we thought about rebuilding here, like rebuild the mansion, and then do the archaeological dig and have the artifacts in the rooms, so that way the activity can be stirred up.
Oh, wow. That'd be cool.
Well,
Only if the owners of the parking lot sell to you.
well, it's actually supposed to be a commercial hotel right now. They were supposed to build it last year, but COVID stopped that. So there's a lot of organizations trying to save this site from becoming a very commercial, modern hotel.
Right. I believe it. A lot of history worth preserving here.
Well, we have no idea what's happening here.
Oh, yeah, who knows?
All right, let's get you guys some answers. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging.
Huh?
let's get you guys some answers.
Okay.
So that way we can go to our next stop. Jody's still searching.
It smells like potatoes.
That's the restaurant over there.
Oh my god, we have to stop for
You have to
french fries
describe
after
those
this.
things because I can't smell them.
You can't smell anything?
I have chronic sinusitis, so like
Oh.
it doesn't work.
Gotcha. That sucks.
Yeah, I can only smell like if there's a gas leak, like overly strong.
All right, so we had a couple blips. We had the word blue come up. What are the words that we have come up on the list?
Intent, substantially, blue, Natalie, originally, gaze, many, hand, forest, person, 50, parade.
Okay.
There's
so
that
now we're
50
in-
number again.
Yeah.
No, it was from the other. She's reading down the list.
Oh.
So,
Principal,
as in which kind?
the, like, interest,
Okay.
financial, principal.
So let's go into some of these answers. That way, in case something pops up out of the red spirit box that we missed in real time, and it comes up tomorrow morning, it'll make more sense. Eliza was 22 when she got married to Charles, who was 45. It was a 23
Wow.
year. Yeah.
Oh
That's a
my.
big gap. Were they in love, or was
Yeah.
that...
Common back in the day.
Alright.
So she would have been considered an old maid back in 1740.
I
to be
guess
getting married
so.
At 22. So there was a 23-year age gap between them. So sometimes a number 23 shows up here, but 22 for certain. Let's see. I did not tell you that Eliza, the one I spoke of, was the second wife from Charles, named Eliza back to back. So when I kind of interrupted you and said ask what her maiden name was, both Elizas went by their maiden name. So it was Eliza Lucas Pinckney, so the name Lucas will show up here from time to time, and Eliza Lamb Pinckney was the first wife, so I'll get the name Lamb from time to time. Yeah, so that way I know which one I'm actually talking to. That's weird, you got something. Like that red box just spat out something.
Mine?
Yeah. I heard something, I just couldn't make it out. Might be just the way you're muffling the speaker, maybe? I don't know. But something came out of it. Let's see, what else? So when she was widowed, she was 36. So there's a very specific number. I did ask while the two ladies were away, how many people did I bring with me? I usually do that to kind of prove, like, one of you turn around and say, hey, I heard the number 3 come out of this. That's because I asked a question and you got the answer. It doesn't matter which device it goes to, I don't really care. There's 4 devices right now where answers can go to. My audio, his audio, or your 2 spirit boxes. What else? The mansion burned down in 1861, which would have been long after Eliza's death, but the house was still within the family. So, 61 is a number that will show up here. Fire, burn, ash, anything relating to flames. Eliza's death. Age of 70, she died from breast cancer in Philadelphia.
Oh, nice.
She was up there either on business or trying to get her breast cancer treatments, which at the time, there was no such thing as breast cancer, so we're going based off her medical records. So again, not making anything up, but breast comes up here and cancer quite often.
Wow.
Let's see. She's also buried in Philadelphia, so if that also answers your question of why don't we go to cemeteries on the story called Stories in the Cemetery, it's because if you were buried, are you going to hang out there? Probably not. You're going to go to the places that you loved in life. So that's why we see her here. Last but not least, the pallbearer. Guesses?
I don't know.
Well, the Constitution was signed in 1776, and George Washington was our first president for 2 terms. I guess it would be him, right?
It was Washington.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
So I've gotten the term George Washington here before. I've also had the word wood and apple and pie. So,
No, nothing.
Oh.
I'm just listening.
so again, clues. Washington is a lot to get out. For example, your spirit box being slowed down. A few weeks ago, I got the EVP that said Denzel Washington. First off, Denzel Washington hasn't had a movie out or anything substantial in quite some time. So why the hell would the radio be talking about Denzel Washington unless we were meant to hear the word Washington when somebody asked who was the president? So I don't care about the Denzel part. It's going to pick up those extra words before and after the words I actually need to prove that they're here. What was the other question? I think that about covers it of the things that I had you ask. There were 4 children. Oh, the George part. So at times when we hear the name George, there were 3 different Georges. Obviously George Washington being one of them, George, her father, over in England, and George, her son that did not make it past a few days or weeks. We don't really know for sure. So she named her son after her father. So again, I never know which one it is until I get another clue. say son, it could say infant, it could say president, it could say any of those things, so I know who the hell she's talking about. I always look for those double clues. But blue, that's pretty definitive, especially standing here. We are going to walk up about 4 blocks up to Lodge Alley. Again, I'm taking you to legitimately haunted locations. I will have my mask on because it's more populated up there. You guys do what you want. I don't really care. It's just, I'm a tour guide. I could still probably get a ticket from the livability officer. So I will have my mask on probably for the remainder of the night, taking small breaks. Again, you guys do what you want.
Okay.
Spirit box, if you want to listen to it along the way, we're probably all going to be chatting anyway. But if you want to listen to it, I'm listening for names. I'm not going to tell you which names or why until we actually get to Lodge Alley, and it will make more sense once I get us there. Your EMF may spike from time to time just from the meters, because we're going to be walking along the sidewalks. So you could probably put your REM pod away, which would be your antenna and the little white button. It just went off. So again, thoughts, comments, questions, concerns.
None at the moment.
Again, sometimes, guys, it just comes up the next day. So I'm excited about blue, which tells me there's something else that's going to be on there. Can't guarantee it, but I will dig it. I usually go through your data for about 2 hours, because you're recording right now probably a good 5 hours, 6 hours worth of data between my audio and everything else. So I'm going to go through it for about 2 hours. The rest of the fun I leave to you guys. So that way you guys can go through it, and when you find more stuff, you'll have all my contact info, and I'll give you my card. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do this.
Out of curiosity, this I noticed that this car that we're next to,
Yeah.
like the rear windshield or rear window, is pretty damn black.
Because it's glass.
So glass has a different.
Glass is always going to be colder than metal. It's going to hang on to it.
I didn't know that either.
The more you know.
Oh, we better follow you.
Yeah, we know where we're going. Leave the tour to us.
So are all of you guys like in the same age bracket?
Yeah.
2 of us are the same age, and Joe T's the youngest.
Yeah, we're 28. She's 26. Right.
My oldest daughter is 20.
Okay. Are they here?
My youngest daughter lives in Middle Beach with her mom.
Okay.
Oldest daughter she's in Florence now. She keeps moving around with different boyfriends. We don't really talk a whole lot that much. She keeps stirring things up.
Gotcha.
Can't get her life together kind of thing.
And it happens if they get it together eventually.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
What did they say?
Where'd you get that? It's Walmart. Where else? The United States Customs House. I thought that was a courthouse.
I'm just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, we picked the coldest.
I work once a year. Trust me, this is not cold. I usually like on my December, January thing. I take my coat on, but I have like hot hands and my gloves. And,
Oh my gosh.
what time of year it is.
No, I guess not. It always cold, right?
Yeah. They don't care what time of day it is either. So like my investigations, I do during the daytime. Because I visit museums and stuff just like you guys do. Just nobody knows that I have all my gear with me.
That sign.
I'm getting old.
The liver is evil and must be punished.
I heard the music and looked at the sign. And it...
How old is that building?
I don't have an exact date for you.
It seems like it's been around for a while.
It has. That's actually where all of our slaves would come through, including anything of trade and ships. But your slaves would be sold right on those steps and auctioned off.
Seriously, brace yourself.
Okay, right. Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh my god, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
After
Five.
One kid, that's it.
This is where my ex used to work. Right there. They have lavender.
They literally live right
Lavender
there.
pancakes? That sounds disgusting.
So what part of Mount Pleasant do you live in?
Bellhop.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah. It's lovely. Like the actual apartment?
No, I was renting a house down there when I first moved.
Oh, okay. It's a nice spot.
Yeah.
How long have you been down here?
I've been in Charleston area for about 5 years now.
Where are you from?
Ohio.
Ohio, but I live in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, you made a good switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've been down this alley.
Have you now?
Have you?
These old brick pavers.
I really got comfy shoes on. I didn't normally check.
Oh yeah.
Girls with heels do not make it down here at all.
No. No high heels for us. These are my winter boots.
I go through
These,
tennis shoes.
these South Carolinians. Oh, the temperature dipped a degree. It's cold.
Carolinians, thank you.
Yeah. Excuse
What'd
you.
I say?
Carolinian.
Carolinians. Whoopsie.
Sorry, English guy. You can't speak improper English around me.
Oh, I know. I can't
Correct
even
every
write.
time.
Can't even write improper grammar without being corrected by her.
That's a good thing. You need a friend like that.
That's right. That's right. It smells like some items that are still illegal.
That's
in
a
the state
car,
of South
Jyoti.
Carolina.
Oh my god, my heart dropped for a little bit. I'm like, I think I'm blind.
I'll kind of stop here. This is considered a quiet area, so we'll kind of be brief here.
Okay.
We were all talking, so you probably didn't hear any names, but did you have any words come up or anything come up on your
Yeah.
What'd you get?
District, chef, car crash, highway, ring, and then
Well-
principal again.
There are restaurants. You have a chef.
Yeah, but that car crash on highway, we had a big one today on 526. Did you read about that?
No.
It shut down the entire freeway for like 5 hours today. There was a fatal car crash. It was a pedestrian on the freeway.
Oh no.
That's okay. It's a stretch.
On
but
what highway? 526.
526 coming into town.
Ooh, I didn't hear anything.
We weren't listening to anything that we
I'm
heard.
always looking, glancing at news.
Are you?
Yeah.
Brad?
No,
Nothing?
not that I can remember. So let me tell you where we are first and kind of a little bit about this place. So first off, when we came over that last crosswalk, and the reason why this is a quiet area is because of the hotel. So again, we're not going to spend a lot of time here.
Holy shit.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But that last crosswalk, that would have been where the original Charlestown walls would have been. So this was a walled city, very small. This would have been one of our first streets where people actually lived. So the bricks that you're walking on, they are original. They're handmade out of clay, and they're also hand-laid. So it's very interesting just from that point of view. But the wall went across the street as well from East Bay Street. So all those buildings that we see, we would have had the smell of low tide here because those buildings wouldn't have been here. So people that lived here were considered lower class. These were little shotgun houses. The reason I asked for names is because I have the full list of the residents that lived here and their occupations. So again, lower class, I doubt there was a chef. Maybe a cook, not a chef.
Maybe he was
An
feeling
aspiring
good
chef.
about himself.
Maybe. The names I normally get down here are Benjamin and John, and the irony about that is that there were a Benjamin and a John that lived here both in 1801. There was only 7 houses here. So again, the 5 names I have, I get 2 of them. I'm pretty convinced that it's something repetitive because it keeps showing up month after month. At times, I'll get John's last name, which happens to be Johnson, John Johnson. So I'll get Benjamin and John Johnson in the same night, 1801. You can't make this stuff up. They did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. They found some of those silverware and tools and articles of clothing, evidence of the fires that came through here, all kinds of stuff. So it's a very historical place for Charleston. It's also where the first Masonic lodge was for Charleston. So
Here comes the Masons.
We get the term Mason that shows up here all the time. So again, the reason why this is called Lodge Alley is because it was a Masonic lodge. This is what was here. That's the Lodge Alley Inn. It's one of those like timeshare type places, and every place down here has a claim of a ghost, but none of them give me a free room to verify. So hopefully this summer, after I graduate, I'll be renting a hotel room every weekend, getting more podcast episodes to prove or disprove what they're claiming. So that's a lot to come out of this place, especially with these stupid masks on. Alright, we are going to go through the rest of this alley, but we're going to be in a neighborhood, so we definitely need to cut that thing all the way off. Tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides in neighborhoods. So there's going to be 4 friends just passing through. People are already winding down. It is a weekday, so 105.
Is there any historical significance to that church?
We're going to that church.
Oh.
So we're getting more into that touristy type area. So it's going to be a little bit of sightseeing, but there's a lot of odd stories that I tell that most people won't on other tours. Either that or it's going to be a different twist to some of those stories based on the equipment and the stuff that we have. So let's we're gonna stay to the right of this car, I think. It looks like they're charging it with a battery in front. Sorry, night vision. I'm the guy that doesn't go out in the daytime. So let's go up to the right of the car.
I didn't even see that.
Oh my god.
I didn't even see the dude in the car.
No, I did not.
Until I walked right past and I was like,
I didn't even know there was somebody in the damn car. I scared the shit out of me. What? And I'm dead.
There you go. There's your jump scare for the night.
literally.
No, because I was just looking down and walking, and I just happened to look up and then there was the dude chilling next to me. These are all for the space. Are cool.
Yeah, definitely not used to that. I guess that's why they call it the Holy City. Lights out at.
I told you the bars are closing at 11.
I understand now, Mary. You go to bed at 9, 10 p.m.
Open later than that.
Really? The rooftops?
It depends.
Oh.
I think the vending stays open.
Ooh.
Is that 8 metal business?
Mm-hmm.
They stay open for a little while. But the night market's open again too. On the weekends.
I think I saw that like 2 weeks ago, but
Look out,
there were
JC.
so many people in there.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even like a COVID fear, it was just like there's a lot of people in here. Art. Why do we look at the same time?
Because it's a white building with black letters.
Take note of this alley. Technically, I'm not supposed to be taking you down there, so I'll tell you the story around the corner once we get there. I don't know why that tour's there. I pissed off the new owner of that mansion. And we all got emails that don't go down there anymore because it's residential. Especially, I come with noisemakers.
That's a neat architect.
There's a lot of really
New experience for me. Everything's shutting down at 9. That's weird. I'm used to hearing
You know,
fire trucks.
they like shut down McDonald's like early
Why?
here. I don't know.
Yeah, most of the restaurants shut down pretty early.
It's really
Are you
crazy. Like back
serious?
home, a lot of stuff is 24 hours a
Oh
day,
my
7 days a
God.
week, and then I moved here, and I was like, why is McDonald's closed at 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Why is the Walmart closed
I
right
will
now?
say the weirdest thing in Charleston that I've noticed is that there are so many buildings where it's like old and then brand spanking
brand
new, and then
new, yeah.
old.
Yeah, and there's a preservation society, of course. And you'll find certain plaques on buildings where they, that's not one of them, but
No.
Right.
We're in trouble.
No.
Huh?
why are we in trouble?
I said they are. They got a
I had
bunch
like
of
6
tickets all over
tickets on
their
the
car.
You'll probably been parked there for a week. All right, so this is where you guys get to actually take a break, because you guys came, you paid me to come to work, and now I'm giving you a break. All right, so you guys remember the alley we passed up back there?
Yeah.
You see the doorway back there in the middle of the wall?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a doorway. It's got an open doorway, and there is a wrought iron gate in there. It's locked at all times. But the reason for that is because that alley used to be Dueler's Alley. So let's stop for a second and let's see what we got along the way. Did we get anything weird?
Legitimate, terror, disturb, Brad, W.
W. That'd be from our boy Washington.
I was gonna say that.
Because I've had GW show up there, like, while I'm out on the tour. And we're technically only 2 blocks away from the Mansion. I know it seems like further, but I took you in a big circle.
Legitimate.
Looks like another tour.
Oh, yeah. Everybody goes up to that gate. And I'll tell you that story because they make it some big dramatic thing. I won't do it because it's cool, but it's not a big dramatic story. This one is. So that doorway, again, Dueler's Alley. If somebody died during a duel, and I say if, because it was usually an 80% that there wasn't a death during a duel, they would pick up the body, bring him through that doorway, over this courtyard, and then over to the St. Philip Cemetery where they would drop the body and then go celebrate the winner. So I call that place the Death Gate. That's what I call it. So when I mention it again here shortly, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So there was a doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island. Sorry, I'm watching your box. Oh, that sounded really bad, didn't it?
It did.
So, sorry. So, doctor moved down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. His name will show up often while I'm telling his story. That's the reason why I still tell it. But anyway, he was supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and the attorney that was handling that money said, "You're not getting married yet. Send the doctor away. Let's prove that he's not after your money." So what's he do? He moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed because he was dressed nice. This was about Midtown, so probably about a mile that way. So somebody sees what's going on. His name was Ralph Isaacs. He was a local attorney. He says, "Let me take you somewhere else. Let me take you somewhere safe." So he takes him to 59 Church Street, which is about half a mile that way. So he brings him all the way down, gets him a good place to stay, and obviously the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off, which means he's making lots of money, and Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. You can Google the Whistling Doctor. This is a story you'll get much more detail. I'm giving you enough just for hopefully our spirit boxes and something to come out of that. So him and Ralph used to go to plays together, but they couldn't sit next to each other because the doctor made more money. He just got better seats. That's kind of how it went. So they talked about these plays on the way home. One night they're talking about William III. It was a Shakespearean play. The doctor loves the new actress. Ralph does not. They start arguing. It turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home. Obviously, the two get pretty pissed off and go their separate ways. We heard a lot of that tonight, right? Everybody gets pissed off and goes their separate ways. But Ralph was from here, so he calls his friends from the newspaper and he puts an ad in the paper about what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's not from here. He's not one of us. He charges too much. Yada, yada, yada. The doctor sees it. He rebuttals with, "Let's go to Dueler's Alley and let's settle this." So they come down. They take their 20 paces. They turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots with one bullet. He didn't want to kill his friend. Ralph still has his bullet. He takes it out on the kneecap of the doctor. So again, I'm emphasizing key words: kneecap, one shot, those kind of things. Hopefully something will come up on our spirit boxes. But the doctor didn't die. He didn't come through the death gate. His friends picked him up and they carried him to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later. So we have a lot of clues in there, but as you walk through the alley, if you do it on your own without a tour guide, they say you can hear the whistles from the doctor or gunshots. I don't have any gunshots that I can prove, but I do have whistles that I can't debunk. Now we do have a lot of hecklers that all know the story, so everybody's going to walk by and give a little, little whistle. But I have a very sophisticated audio recorder, so when I have those kind of whistles and they're off in the distance and I can't make them out, again, I've had the word whistle come up here, I've had the word doctor come up here, I've had boom show up, shot, all kinds of things. So we just never know what it's actually going to give us. And it says different. Is that what it says? Too vague tonight. Pretty vague.
Pretty big.
Let's move on to the crazy story he's telling.
Okay.
There's a sign. They're right outside of a cemetery. First off, there's two sides of the cemetery. Obviously, one across each side of the street. The eastern side is for native Charlestonians. So our boy Charles Pinckney, he's on this side. The one we talked about earlier, this is where he's buried. Eliza's up in Philly. The other side is for everybody else. That's where 17th Vice President John Calhoun is buried. They had to figure out where he was supposed to go. He's in a sarcophagus, big stone tomb above ground, so they can pick him up and move him. 3 times I think he crossed the street trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. So, he's over there. I know, right? So the story that they're telling is there's a sign right inside the wrought iron gate that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. It's because they don't want guys like me with cameras and equipment taking pictures and shooting film and all kinds of stuff up there because in 1888...
Oh my god, that's the big cat.
Remember what Michelle said?
Never, please. You better not come next to me. I'll kick it. I'm sorry.
You got big
but
shoes
I
on
will
too.
Oh, you're crazy.
So,
All right, wait. So go ahead.
where was I?
No ghost, but the Holy Ghost.
Oh, yeah. They don't want people like me in there. So you guys see like the light over the cemetery? You can kind of see it through the trees above the wall there. That's actually facing out, so people like me can't take pictures and film, but my equipment actually sees right through it. I see one. But in 1888, a young lady died 6 days after her stillborn child. Her name is Sue Howard Hardy. If I call her Susan, she always corrects me, and I should have done it just to prove a point. But anyway, 1987, 99 years later, we have a local photographer. He's taking pictures. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. Yeah, pretty cool shit for a guy like me. But the picture's cursed. So that's why I'm not going to show it to you, and I'll explain in a second. But the local photographer sends it to Kodak to try to debunk it. It's 1987. We don't have this kind of tech. So they can't debunk it either. So it's been a piece of evidence ever since. Now, the picture is cursed. The females that hold it or handle it in any way, shape, or form, even on your phones, you're going to start to feel the symptoms I told you about back at Big John's, which is another reason why I tell about those symptoms. If a pregnant female holds it, allegedly you're not going to have a good pregnancy. So I don't show it because if I get a couple that's having a great time on their vacation, I'm not getting a phone call 9 months from now. And I'm going to be the blame from somebody's bad pregnancy. I'm not going to be that guy. So, I know, right? In the event we actually get some kind of evidence that comes out of that story, I will always put the heated warning next to it. So please have caution when opening this picture. It is cursed. So I will always put that. That way you're not clicking on something by accident. Oh shit, I opened up the Sue Howard Hardy picture. I know, right? So let's talk about some pirates, just to get you in the mood. Because the last story is all about kick-ass female pirates, right? All about the females on this story. Did you guys notice that? Eliza, we got the Sue Howard Hardy.
Sorry, Justin.
That's okay. That's how all the ghost movies are too. It's biased.
That's true.
For March, Women's History Month.
It's
I
because
was
women
jammed-
are so
I was jammed
angry.
full because I was promoting that I told nothing but female history stories.
What is it? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
And I am living proof of that. So, I do have an ex-wife. We won't go there. Do you guys see the funny gas lamp off in the distance?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is just off the other side of the western side of the cemetery. That is what we call the Pirate House. Now, you live here, so you should know exactly what that is. I'm telling you, you probably don't know, but it has a big anchor on the front. I lived here for 2 years before somebody told me about this place. I'm like, really? But somebody lives there, so I can't take you there. Don't go in his backyard, he gets pissed, and don't ask me how I know. So, it has a big anchor on the front. Literally, you can't miss it. That's where Blackbird's men would come in off the ships, and they would have a few drinks, meet with a few girls. The cool thing about that place is they dug a tunnel underneath the Pirate House 1 block over to Dock Street Theater. At the time, it was Planters Hotel. And Planters Hotel still had plays. What do you got? Stage? Because I'm talking about plays? I'll take it. It's a clue. But anyway, they would go over there because, let's face it, pirates tie really good knots. They would go over there and work for a few days in between doing other trading. Not to mention there was prostitution there. So they were having a grand old time and getting paid for it. So, let's see where they're going to go because our last investigation is right across the street. Do you guys want to see that sign? We probably have plenty of time.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I want to see it. Come on, I'll show it to you.
Might as well.
By the way, the steeple to St. Philip's is off just a little bit from the earthquake of 1886.
It looks a little bit off, actually.
Well, we can't see it from the naked eye.
No?
No,
Maybe I'm just lopsided.
probably.
There's an honest chance.
That's unfortunate.
Just follow them like I see them. So, there's the crazy sign. there's the light over there. If you notice that that light isn't even the same shade as the other lampposts around, because they don't want guys like me. That's just like a little, what is that? That's not supposed to be there. But I like to shine my laser grids in there and try to get pictures. I haven't caught anything with that yet. But yeah, pretty cool place. Can't tour this side during the daytime. They've been renovating it for over a year now, probably due to COVID reasons. But the other side, you can definitely walk through. They open up the gates to a lot of the cemeteries during the daytime. So. But yeah, pretty cool spot. And if you guys get anything on pictures you're taking, and you want me and the wife to take a look at them, first thing I'll ask you is what type of phone are you using? The wife's day job, when she's not working for me, is she works for Best Buy. She's the cell phone manager. So being a photographer and a cell phone manager, she knows every damn cell phone camera out there.
Me too. I used to do that too. Once upon a time.
So your wife is, I guess she has to be into ghost hunting too.
I mean, she comes along from time to time for like social media pics and stuff like that, especially when I get some pretty diverse groups. But she does all of my graphic design work. So she created the logo, she does all my book covers, my headshots for my author signings and stuff like that. But yeah, she does all the graphic design work, especially if I have something on the tour that comes up that I can't explain, and they go to her. And then people send me pictures, and I just automatically forward them to her. I get what kind of phone they have. Oh, it's an iPhone, whatever. I don't know iPhone stuff because I don't touch Apple products, but
we just had this whole conversation earlier today.
In the same
He
way,
said the
to
same
hell with
thing.
those devices.
Well, my wife, because we just did a trade show where I needed something to be able to like bring people out in case somebody wanted to book a tour right away, she bought a damn iPad. So I'm like, oh, you're killing me. What it turned out to be was basically a digital sign for the table telling people what we actually were, because nobody understood why all my equipment was out. Are you selling equipment? No, I'm not selling equipment. I'm selling tickets to use my equipment. So it was interesting. But let's go learn about those kick-ass female pirates. You guys got some good pictures? You guys got enough? You need more?
I think we're good.
You
It's
good?
an interesting sign, whatever it's made out of.
You got some
Does
activity
it-
around it?
Well, no, but like, it's like you had the rest of the area was like obviously the tombstones are gonna radiate and red because concrete or stone or whatever,
It's gonna hang on to the
and
sunlight.
yeah, and the rest of the area is blue, but that sign was just black,
Wow.
and I'm like, it's not even glass.
Probably had the piece of plexiglass over top of
Oh,
it.
maybe.
And that's plastic, which is going to
Yep.
be just as cold as glass.
Gotcha.
Alright, so... Uh-oh. That's exactly what happened here last time. So I'll have to check the camera. Did it start recording? No, you're good. I can hit the buttons from here. So you guys are going to have 2 recordings from the spirit box. The last... It'll go. Last recording will be straight from the powder magazine only. If I can get it to start recording.
There's something behind you that's
Can I take this off you?
a rectangle that's pitch black, or like a section that's pitch black.
Keep it on there so I can watch it. You guys all see it?
Or,
yeah.
It might just be the grass.
It's like a long.
It's like the same stretch as the grass, but it's just weird that earlier the grass wasn't that color.
But why would grass be black?
Huh.
You see?
And now it's not.
Oh.
Oh, there it goes there.
Get back on
Could
the
just
same
be,
thing.
like you said earlier, it could just be the heat from him.
Yeah, I don't
Up
think
and
that.
running.
Thank you.
No problem.
Huh.
So, not surprised. Alright, a lot of tours like to come through here, so we're going to actually move over this way a little bit. And I feel like to get you a little bit closer to the cemetery. I have had some people get a little dizzy and a little headache. They're like, I'm getting a headache. I'm like, it's hard for me talking. They're like, no, we're next to dead people. So, I always like to test my theories. Not that I want to try to get you guys sick, it's just testing theories. She's like, please don't make me throw up. So, wow, they're really loud.
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking about the
One
building.
thing at least in that is loud.
The building that they're talking about over there, that's what we're going to be investigating. But I like to tell the story out of the way anyway, so other tours can go in, do what they need to do,
Oh.
get the hell out. What do you have?
Bring him.
Bring him home.
Yeah.
Justin, they want you.
Bring him.
If his name pops
Sorry,
up,
just kidding. Go ahead.
it's okay. Let's see if his name pops up. Keep an eye on it.
Isn't that like a colonial name? Brigham? Something like that?
Brigham.
Yeah, something
no
close
N.
to that.
like Brigham Young. All right, so the powder magazine held gunpowder. You guys need to know a little bit of history about the building before I go into it. So that street over there, that's Cumberland Street. That's where the original Charlestown wall was that I was telling you about that came right up.
Mm-hmm.
So this was where we held all of our gunpowder. So if you think about it, it's literally right in the corner of where the Charlestown wall was. The wall came up Cumberland Street and went up about half a block and started going down towards the Battery. So it's literally tucked right in the corner to be protected. It's 3 blocks away from the water. So if it were to get attacked, which it never did, by the way, those walls are 32 inches thick. Cannonball trying to go through it is going to be very tough. But in the event that it actually does and hits the gunpowder and explodes it, there's sand in that roof. And it's supposed to go up and then drop slowly to put the flames out from the gunpowder. Somebody's not happy. Where'd you guys end up parking?
Literally half a block from where we met with you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Actually, right next to that parking lot where we were looking for Indigo and Pickney. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's an easy place to get you back to because my garage is on Cumberland Street.
Okay.
So I pay for a garage because I get tired of finding parking. So anyway, the sand is supposed to put out the flames, but it doesn't work. It's a great theory, but we had another powder magazine closer to the Battery, closer to the water. It did get attacked. It exploded. Sand went up. Sand fell. Flames burned the place to the ground. So we no longer have that battery anymore.
I feel like that would have been a good idea if the whole building collapsed. The sand would have worked.
Would have, but the sand is still there. This is our oldest government building on the East Coast. Literally. It was finished in 1713. So,
We're talking about that church thing, right?
yeah, and what's funny is those aren't crosses that everybody assumes are crosses.
That's
Those are
what I thought.
earthquake bolts. So, you guys being from Pennsylvania, earthquake bolts are, I told you about our biggest scare in 1886, right? So, the gist of those is that if we had another one and the building gets quaked again, those bolts are by a turnbuckle.
I assume that's what on all those colonial buildings, like when we were in the alleys, they look like round circles
Yep.
on the edges. I'm assuming that's what those were.
Well, sometimes they'll put them through the floors, and sometimes they'll put them through the roof. So the apartment building that's behind the powder magazine, the big brick building, it has earthquake bolts through the floors. The powder magazine has them through the roof. Now, again, if you tighten up those bolts, it's like a turnbuckle. It's supposed to straighten the building right back up again. That's what those are meant for. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston installed. That's why they look as crude as they do.
It's train team.
Alright, cool. So, some tour guides are just super loud. But anyway, during the time that this was built, between 1703 and 1713, took a whole decade to finish it, a young lady moves here from Ireland with her father and his mistress, who happened to be her mother. Follow along, kids. This one gets a little twisty. So, the mistress and Cormac's mother, they were moving here to get away from her father's wife. You guys catch me? That whole scorned wife thing? This is exactly that story. So they moved all the way across the world. This woman must have been pretty pissed off. This was about 1708, 1709. Again, this is the one where there's a lot of holes in the story. You're going to be able to ask whatever questions you guys want to on the spirit boxes. So, she sees this building being built. It's obviously a very familiar building still. She becomes a teenager. Pirates start moving through town. One of them she falls in love with. His name is James Bonney. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy-ass pirate. So what do? They move down to Jamaica. They get hitched. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonney. James is not the pirate that she wanted. She wanted the kick-ass Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, drunken rum kind of guy. This was not him. This guy was a privateer, which basically meant he was a spy for the British. He was spying on his own men and reporting back to the British. He was a coward. It's not what she wanted. So what she do? She falls in love with another guy. His name was John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name, much younger guy, and he has his own ship. He's an up-and-coming pirate, and she wants to be part of that crew. So she asks her new beau, hey, can I become part of the crew? He says, sure, but you're going to dress like a guy, because females will curse my ship, and that's not going to happen. So we're not going to let the crew know that you're a female. You can be a female in my quarters, but not on the crew. She agrees. She's good. Of course, being a female in the quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. So what's Calico Jack do? He drops her off in Cuba with some friends. Go have the baby. We can't have you showing and letting the crew know that you're a female. Come back after the baby's born. We'll figure it out from there. She comes back, no baby. We have no idea what happened to that child. So, she comes back, but she's dressed like female. She doesn't give a damn anymore. She's pissed. So, Jack sees her dressed like a female, being part of the crew. He's mad. So what does she do to make him jealous? She goes down below deck, we're on guy number 3 by the way, and starts flirting with the pirate crew that he just acquired. He just captured this other pirate crew. They're down there as prisoners, basically. Well, the guy that she was flirting with happened to be a female dressed like a guy to be captured by the pirate crew that Calico Jack brought on board. So, I know, I told you, a lot of weird twists in this one. So, her name was Mary Reed. Mary Reed and Anne Bonny become friends, and Anne convinces Mary to become part of the crew. So she says, okay. The rest of the pirate crew stays down below deck as the British fleet rolls in to try to capture this pirate ship. It's Anne Bonny and Mary Reed literally trying to take on the entire British fleet by themselves because all the other guys are too drunk watching the other captives to come up and fight. Obviously, the British takes over the ship. Anne Bonny and Mary Reed were thrown in a separate prison. All the other pirates that were down below deck, they get tried and hung pretty quickly. Now, Anne Bonny and Mary Reed, during the struggle, they hurry up and dress like guys again. So when they go in front of the Chief Justice, they reveal their gender on purpose, so that way the judge is a little easier on them. He says, I don't care that you're female. You're still pirates. You're the only 2 that fought back.
That's an interesting word.
What do you have?
Near.
Oh, near the cemetery. But he says, I don't care. I'm going to try you anyway. We plead our bellies. What does that mean? They both claim that they were pregnant. So that meant, he said, okay, fine. I'm still going to convict you for piracy, but I'm just going to delay your hanging. So throw him back in prison. Dad is still here in Charleston. He bails Anne Bonny out and brings her back home. Apparently she remarried again, has 4 kids, and lives to the age of 84. How we have such details when none of that shit makes sense, I have no idea. However, Mary Reed, what happened to her? She died from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail.
Scurvy?
Who knows?
Oh.
Use your imagination. There's no record of what actually happened to her. But the fact that she died in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican. So, that was within a year after Anne Bonny got released. So, we have a lot of questions here. You can ask whatever you want to. You can ask anything about Anne's relationships, her husband. By the way, speaking of her husband, James Bonny, during that time, she was still married to James Bonny, even though Calico Jack tried to buy the dowry so that he could marry her, and James refused.
Oh, so she was still married to the first pirate.
Yep, the whole time.
Wow, she is making a mess of things.
Yep. So if you, honestly, there's a new, and I hate to even say documentary, it's the acting on this documentary felt like a movie. It was called The Lost Kingdom of Pirates. It's on Netflix. It was amazing. So Anne Bonny's in there, James is in there, Steve Bonnet, he was another pirate from here, but he was the gentleman pirate. Basically a guy that owned a plantation that should have never owned a ship because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And there's a lot, and Blackbeard of course is in there, but it was a great documentary. It's like 7 or 8 episodes long. If you're into pirates, like, it was really cool. Especially since I know the backstory of all that stuff. But anyway, we're going to get close to the powder magazine. We're going to see what comes up out of your spirit boxes. We're not going to interrupt that other tour by any means. And then once they move out of the way, we can actually probably go out to the front of this and see what we capture up there, especially with our thermal imaging cam. And I definitely want you to use your REM pod here. This is usually a dead zone for this EMF. So if you capture anything, it usually means something else is happening. But what other words, anything crazy along the way before we get moving?
We had bring him,
Okay.
and then it said she, and then rib, and then alright, cow, near, considerably, poor, skin, human.
Poor skin. That would make sense. Especially on a pirate ship. And the word cow makes sense here too. So remember Philadelphia Alley where the duel took place? Mm-hmm. That used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley, because that's where they kept all the livestock for the city.
Oh, cool.
And it happens here often. So again, we're literally half a block away from Cow Alley. So I'm going to take that as a win. Alright, they're coming this way, so we're going to go that way. Because you guys can see I like to get everybody else's way.
Mm-hmm.
I like my small groups. I like the fact that this is more conversation.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that there weren't a whole bunch of people, because I was kind of wondering that when I signed up for it. I wonder if it's going to be a really big group, because I think last time I did a tour, it was a pretty big group.
Yeah, on my landing page, like, I do a comparison of what I do with what he does over there, and of course there's literally dozens of ghost tours here in town. And I'm still the new kid on the block, even though I've been out here doing this for 2 years. These guys have been doing it for 20 and 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like they know their history. And sometimes they like to walk by and try to correct me on something. I'm like, dude, I'm just telling the lore. Let them figure it out. Like, back up, man. But some of them are like, are you ghost hunting? Ghost hunting? You know what I mean? So some of them are hip to it, some of them are not. But yeah, you can definitely pull out that red spirit box and crank that up a little bit. You just don't want to disturb the apartments because those people, they live there. So
They're probably so tired of people coming down.
I'm sure, but they
They're probably
chose.
like, why are there weirdos?
They
in the
chose to
parking
live
lot
next to it.
again?"
Exactly. That's how I felt about the guy with the at the end of Philadelphia alley. Like, you chose to live here, man. I get it, but you can see, like, the center of those, how crude they are. They're not cut the same size. And over here, is that your hand? Your hand was relatively close. Okay. Like those peach blocks that you see on that building, those are also earthquake bolts. If you see lions or pineapples on a building, those are earthquake bolts as well. They just-
Oh, there's always pineapples on the buildings around here.
Yeah.
So they're just decorative.
It's a weird trail.
So this building has been many, many things, and I keep meaning to dive into the history of it. I just keep forgetting whenever I'm going through my data and stuff to keep it fresh. I get asked all the time about that. And I know, like, it used to be connected to the Powder magazine at one point, so it was kind of like a...
Looks like a roof line.
Yep. Well, some people even say, somebody asked me about the scar of that building, and I guess, like, where the cement is over there underneath that window coming all the way down, I guess that was a scar from a fire, and that wouldn't make any sense at all, because that building looks like it's, like, mid to late 1800s, and there weren't many fires after, say, 1860. So most of them happened in late 1700, early 1800s. So I would just have to dive into it and see what it was. But very interesting building. I know I haven't shut up long enough for you to really listen to that spirit box.
This concrete thing right here, this part of this wall,
Yeah.
is that part of this building?
It
I only asked
would've
because there's
been-
an air conditioning unit sticking out of it.
Yeah, and again, it used to be, I think there might still be a passageway to get into the apartment building. So it's probably just a small air conditioning unit for that passageway. They just adjusted over time.
I wonder what people
Probably barely hear that guy.
Is there anything still in this building today
It's a
besides
museum.
the sand? Oh, is it?
It's a museum. Yep.
Yeah, right next to
It's really cool, actually.
Huh.
Um,
Well, that's
They
neat.
show all the different wars that it served in, which was 7 different wars. They show all the different uniforms, the artillery. They have a great library of books. Like, I have a season pass here just because of the library. They, you know, it's not even a library, I should say bookstore. They have books that they get stuff quicker than, say, I can get it on Amazon,
Right.
especially if it's a local author writing stuff. Yeah, some really cool stuff in there.
So I'm a little bit confused about the story about the Irish guy.
Yeah,
They moved over here to get away from his ex-wife.
she wasn't an ex.
Oh, he was still married. So he moved here with his
His mistress.
mistress. But the mistress was the girl's mom.
Correct.
Real mom.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, how did he keep the daughter a secret that whole time?
That's-
He used to dress Anne up like a boy and say he was an apprentice under his attorneyship over in Ireland. That's why she was okay with dressing up like a guy for her new boyfriend's pirate ship.
Oh my god. Can you imagine your whole life you just have different men asking you to dress up like a guy? Okay, I get it.
So yeah, to get away from the
Do we
angry
know
wife,
why he didn't like the wife?
she was always sick. He used to send her away while he was working because she would need constant care.
Oh.
So we're talking early 1700s here, late 1600s. There wasn't a whole lot of great medicine like what we have.
Yeah, I guess
So
not.
he would send her away because she was always sick.
And then he was having affairs.
He was having an affair with she was actually a maid there.
Oh no. Whoops.
Yeah.
And so she was pissed that
found
he
out about
left, or she was
She found
pissed.
out about it.
Oh no.
Yep. And that's when he bolted his
Yeah.
country to come here.
Oh my god. And then she came and followed him, or no?
Nope, the wife stayed behind.
Wow.
He just had to keep paying her basically like an alimony to shut her up.
Oh my goodness.
So he had a farm here in the Georgetown area. So when he came here, he wasn't an attorney. There wasn't a need for him. There was enough attorneys already here. So he became a farmer. So he found some farmland up by one of the small rivers in Georgetown. And he actually bought a pretty big piece of land, but had to do all his trading down here, which he used to send Anne down here. So that's how she got to New York City.
He was probably so mad when she ran away with a pirate.
Well, not to mention that his mistress, new wife, she died shortly after they moved here.
Really? Ooh. So he was like by himself, and then his daughter's like, "I'm out. I'm going to Jamaica to be a pirate. Bye."
Yep,
And he
pretty
was
much.
just like, "All right."
Well, Anne already had a temperature. She had a bad temper, so she was already kind of like an ornery kid. So he may have been a little relieved, just because she was always getting into trouble. She was picking fights with the servants that they had here. She killed one of them. Like,
Oh,
yeah, she was
snap.
an angry little chick. I'm telling you, watch that documentary.
Oh
She's
my
interesting.
goodness.
You'll spot her right away. You
What's the documentary called?
Lost Kingdom of Pirates.
Oh wow.
Pretty cool.
How old was she when she was doing all this?
She would have been. So she was born in 1797. So she would have left here around 1715, 1716.
So
So
she's
she was probably about 18.
19. Wow.
Her trial in front of the Chief Justice was in 1720. So she spent about 4 years as a pirate in the golden age of piracy, which was obviously the time to be a pirate.
So she was killing people and running away to Jamaica
Is this
and
it?
jumping through guys.
The Lost Pirate Kingdom, the first one,
Yeah.
on the left-hand side. Yeah, that's it. I'm telling you, it's kick-ass.
I'm gonna put
It's
it
not
on
a
there.
normal documentary.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Let's stick it on to watch.
I really gotta get Netflix.
Gotta get that Wi-Fi
But yeah,
first.
I was really surprised. Again, a lot of that stuff isn't entirely accurate because there's a million different stories. I'll be honest, I read 5 books on Anne Bonny before I even really got into this story, just because, the stuff I spat up back at you is just the things that were common between the 5 different books,
Oh wow.
because they were all different. They were all over the place.
Oh my god.
Some of them say that she was kind of mannish. Some of them say that she was beautiful with her long red hair, because she was from Ireland. They want that, you know what I mean? And she's in a video game. She's in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So if you guys play video games, I'm playing it right now. I'm waiting for that part of the story. Steve Bonnet, the one I told you about, the gentleman pirate, he's right at the beginning, because he's doing his bartering, trying to make some money. But I'm sure you'll hear about that if you take any other kind of
He's
tour.
the one that wasn't a badass bun.
Right.
He was just kind of a.
He was the guy who
a
should have never
goofball?
run a boat. Yeah. But he was, remember, this was an aristocratic city, so he was an aristocrat for sure, based on the times. So them pirates seen him coming a mile away. They called him the gentleman pirate because he wore really nice clothes. And it was the same thing with Calico Jack, only his clothes were stolen from the aristocrats. That's why they called him Calico Jack.
Oh.
Told you, I'm chock full of stupid knowledge.
So I've got spirit, Chloe. Don't forget object, staff, trip.
Chloe?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you said.
I guess it's Chloe.
Yeah, it's gonna be Chloe. Alright, let's check out the front of this building and then we'll call this a wrap. Since we've been chatting so much, I'll really have to pay attention to spirit box. Normally when I have a group of 10, I can kind of spread everybody out. But you guys are like SpongeBob. That's what I call you guys. You just soak it all in.
It's just a group of introverts.
That's like the.
That's all.
Have you ever heard that story of? I only saw it in a movie and then I looked it up and that's how I figured it out. But it was in I guess what's considered Romania now, and it was like the Countess Elizabeth Bathory.
I've heard that name. I can't say that I recall the story.
Crazy lady that, crazy powerful warlord lady that would kidnap all the village girls and bathe in their blood
No,
as a way
I
to
don't.
as a way of saying her. She was considered the first vampire
Oh,
of
no, I don't know the story.
of Europe. Very interesting story.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Got some good leftovers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys hungry yet?
You get there.
Did we eat?
We did not.
So you had a little blip there, back there, but we think it was your hand, right?
Yes.
And then we looked at your terms.
I've had white since I went over it a minute ago.
Still doesn't make any sense.
White spirit.
Yeah, nothing.
Show us yourself.
Usually you don't want to ask that.
That's usually...
Oh, okay.
How close did you get to that wrought iron bar?
Oh.
Were you that close? Well, we were filming, so we'll know.
Yep.
What's your name?
There you go. Not a pump.
What year were you here? How old are you? What was your occupation?
And Bonnie, these are a lot of good questions. Give us any answer.
What was the name of your husband?
Probably say which one.
What country are you from?
I've had Cuba show up here a lot too.
What year were you born in?
Do you have a connection to the Powder magazine?
And what's funny is I didn't even, like, I just added this to the tour, like, in November, because I wasn't allowed to go down Philadelphia Alley anymore. So I was like, I don't even want to do a damn pirate story. Seriously, everybody does pirates. So when I started getting evidence from here, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. It keeps coming up.
Well, I mean, that is part of the history of the city.
Yeah, I think I'm pirates. So I had to
And they are known for killing people. So.
Yeah. The funny thing is,
What color is your hair?
they had a democracy on the ships. They would vote for their own captain. Like, they were pretty civilized, believe it or not. Naturally.
What is your last name? What is your first name? Do you have, how many children do you have?
What was your temperature right
That is my favorite thing I've ever seen on a sign in my entire life.
What's that?
Kindly voice any safety concerns. I'm just gonna be like, excuse me, but the roof is falling down.
Oh, he's probably going to stop here, so we're going to go across the street.
There's something here.
Alright guys, let's wrap this one up. We'll see if any of your answers come up. We're going to let that run for a minute or two. I'm going to take your guys' devices. What other questions do you guys have?
I don't know. What's that? Is that a house? Or a restaurant?
I don't know what that is. You should be more interested in what's inside that gate over there.
What is
That's a-
inside that gate?
Yeah, the little tiny one.
So that is what they call the Nicholas Trot House. Nicholas Trot was the first Chief Justice in the United States, and he only stayed there for a short period of time. They say he lived there, and he really didn't, because where Dock Street Theater is now, he was waiting for his house to be ready to be lived in, which is where the Dock Street Theater is right now, long before it was Planters Hotel. So we're talking early 1700s. It was around 1710, 1720, roughly. But they call that the Nicholas Trot House, even though it's a big misnomer. We do a lot of that around here. It's kind of like the night market that we have. A lot of times people will call it the slave market, thinking that's where slaves were sold. It's untrue. Alright, so that one. I'll take the red spirit box just because I have this case open. Yeah, we were chatting too much.
I gotta be careful with my, because my hands are really cold.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
I feel like they're not working.
So I know the carpal tunnel's coming with as much as I write. So it's like,
Oh.
Oh yeah, I'm a massage
right behind
therapist.
ya.
So my hands are already like,
I'm sure.
they're very
And all the
tired.
typing. I'm right behind you.
So, yeah, the wife keeps telling me I need to go get them looked at. I'm like, I do that, I'm going to be getting surgery. And we don't need that right now.
You ever looked at those compression gloves? They do work.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. For like typing and such.
I know that I have like the keeps my wrist straight as I'm typing because I do type 90 words a minute.
Damn,
And
better than me.